Hey, y'all. Welcome back to the Behavioral Blueprint podcast, where healing meets truth and elevation meets accountability. I'm your host, Solana, here to guide you and challenge you into the next step into your betterment. This space is going to be kind of grounded into three pillars, where we talk about personal self-growth, self-care, and also self-empowerment. Today's episode is really focused on the identity of all three of those things together. We're going to talk about real-ish today. It's going to get kind of touchy where it can be incredibly painful to even hear. But I definitely want to talk about this because I had a video go viral and it made me really question what the conversation really means. For me today, this topic is really about how and why so many Black boys and so many Black men have grown to resent, blame, or even hate Black women. And this isn't just for me to get clout or rage bait or be hurtful or shaming towards Black women because I was conceived from a Black man. I was raised around Black men. I have been through ups and downs with Black men to the point where I know Black men on a deep, deep level. I think I've struggled with myself to even have better relationships with Black men because of how much I've been in pain with the relationship of identifying like goodness in Black men. So let's really get into it because the main topics are going to be important for us to understand the why Black men aren't in love with Black women anymore. I would kind of touch on this part because it's kind of sad, but how many boys are taught through distorted lenses all the time that money or sex or control needs to be their pinpoint of identity. And I would say a lot of boys right now, we even joke about it and we call them YNs or we call them the dope dealers or the hustlers. And we glorify those people because we think that that is enough to create security for our livelihood, their livelihood, out of just survival tactics. But Black men have been in such disgusting states of survival that they think that that is the only way that they can get towards anything in life that doesn't connect to their emotional cues or to their mental cues or even towards their spiritual cues with themselves. And the more they have the power, the control, and even withholding like love and lust and sex and having all of those different things combining within themselves creates a form of vanity where they can't even recognize who they are without those things. We, of course, know Black men that identify with all of those things again, but then not being able to separate themselves from it. I feel like I see a lot of chivalry being dead because there's no older generation of men that are holding our younger Gen Z men accountable towards being able to court a woman properly, being able to respect a woman properly, being able to listen to no's on women properly. I listened to Deontay Kyle's episode where he was, of course, having that clip talking about how there are so many men that are constantly crossing boundaries with women comfortably, and it's not acknowledged enough. Then, secondly, what he also talked about was men that are not that way or that are not predatory need to also take forms of accountability towards the predatory men. Because the generalization of white people, this is his example, is us not wanting to trust white people because of the generalization of what has happened to us previously. Women's ideology has been to not trust men on other occasions because of previous acts. I brought that up earlier at the beginning because there's been times where I've been assaulted. There's been times where I haven't been able to trust or I haven't been heard or listened to or respected from the same Black men that come from, I would say, even just myself, of course, with family, but then also with just walking across the street. I can't even walk across the street without being catcalled. Or I was at a gas station actually a couple weeks ago, and I was like giving the guy at the 7-Eleven money, and this homeless man next to me, he was like, I know you feel soft. I know you feel soft. And it was a Black man. Like, it's stuff like that that happens where we don't even have respect towards Black women. And it gets concerning to the point where Black women now have to go into conversations of not even being safe around Black men. The biggest, I think, part of this pillar of what I'm talking about right now is manhood without actual, I would say, being able to connect with your heart. So manhood without being able to connect with your soul and your heart. And the more they care more about vanity, and the more they care more about objectifying women and being able to create the falsehood of whatever matters outside of what's in your heart emotionally, spiritually, mentally, it creates like brokenness. And the more or the longer that goes on, the more it continues to rot. And the more that we don't talk about it, or the more we don't address it, or the more it's not accounted for, the more we get to see a lot of red pill incel culture happen on a regular basis. And that's what's really scary for me, because I don't want to see manhood be built on red pill ideologies, Andrew Tate ideologies, and even like the show Adolescence, even though, of course, it wasn't focused on a white, or I'm sorry, it wasn't focused on a Black boy, there were still Black tones, racial undertones that were in the show with the criminal investigator, and how much that meant seeing a corroded boy be built in hurting women because he wasn't properly taught as a young boy what it meant to be respected, or I'm sorry, what it meant to be in a space of respecting women. And he had a sister and a mother. So let's think about the whole conversation about the household of Black boys. 9 times out of 10, there's Black boys that have a household only with a single mother that is overworked, that is tired all the time, and it creates a cycle and it trickles down into them to feeling like they're not enough, or they're not being given things enough that I think a man in a household would offer them. And then it also creates a emotional hypersensitivity for them to not be able to touch their emotions anymore, because the first person that birthed life to them and the first person that they ever thought love was going to come from hurt them the most. So now we see men be built without emotional intelligence because they shut it down and create the vanity that I brought up earlier. Talking about households, the next part of this episode is being, or just named, I wrote it down, just saying pain passed down. Every single one of us has generational trauma, but the specialty or the concoction that was made for Black boys has been so disheartening to see be broken into a understanding of not having your father around and not having any emotional supervision or even parental supervision towards what they watch too. And the more that they have nobody being able to pay attention on their surveillance of their emotions, because we expect Black boys to be strong. We expect Black boys to not speak. We expect Black boys to not act. These Black boys grow into grown men that deep down again hate women because these were the things that shut them down. Black women aren't the only things that shut them down. The educational system shuts them down. There's been so many statistics that there's a prison cell waiting for Black men if they don't graduate. There's a lot of factual times that I've seen Black boys go straight to prison that I've gone to school with, that I looked this up. Maybe like less than 3 to 4 days ago when I was looking up somebody, I was looking at somebody's like following, and I was like, damn, I haven't seen that person in a minute. They're posting from prison right now. And this is a Black boy that I went to school with. He was a grade above me. So it's it's almost shocking to see how much these things become a reality for our Black boys that are lost, and how shame, how insecurity, and how much unprocessed hurt can be projected into their livelihoods. And who are in their livelihoods? Black women. And how much can Black women get projected that hate and that, I would say, the insecurity and the shame that they get? It's uncalled for. Black women are usually the first target for Black men's pain. And it sucks because the more that they believe or the more that they see Black women as a target, the more we're going to get shot at and the more we're going to get hurt for, the more we're going to become DV survivors, the more we're going to become victims, the more we're going to become abuse survivors, the more we're going to become SA survivors. Because Black men see women as objects for them to use towards their Black pain. That blew my mind when I had to think about it, because we're utilized as a tool rather than being seen as people. And that's what Deontay Kyle talked about too. We're not really seen as people. We're just seen as objects to Black men to utilize for their own needs. I feel like a lot of Black men feel disrespected without even realizing, when they were never even taught to receive healthy love in the first place. I feel like a lot of Black women, whenever they try to create the cycle of health or healthiness for Black men to create a healthy space, they do not identify it as a healthy thing. Why? Because they haven't had a healthy thing in their lives. From jump, mothers usually expect men to not even just do the household chores or do anything in a usual matter, but I've been raised by a Black woman that raised a Black man. And I see the way she views men in general compared to how she views women. And it's not just shocking, but it is the conversation of what she creates an expectation for her Black son compared to raising her Black granddaughter. And whenever a Black boy doesn't receive the proper love in a healthy way, when they grow up to be those Black men, it's a threat. And anytime you're seeing or identifying something that could be as a threat, what are you going to do? You're going to defend, you're going to go against, you're not going to believe in, you're not going to pay attention to, or you're going to, like, again, neglect it. You're not going to want anything that is unfamiliar to you. And the cost of that is Black women are making themselves smaller, overcompensating, overgiving, or truly giving up everything of their lives to be seen by the same race, but different gender. And that's Black men. And again, as a Black woman, I have I have only been in Black relationships, and I have been nothing but drained in Black men. And it's horrifying and it's sad to say, but I definitely do see myself always over giving more than I think the person that I was with. And whenever you go into a system of always doing so, I've had conversation with my Black girlfriends where we talk about how we wouldn't be able to date Black men anymore. And we want to go into different cultures because we still want to be seen not just as Black women, but as a person. Now, I can't speak for every other race, but what other races do that I notice is empathize with the woman and be able to see them as human beings rather than objectifying. I've noticed in Asian cultures, they go deep into respecting women. But of course, there's a lot of negative connotations with Asian culture as well. But I've noticed that how much they respect the woman for being an asset rather than being a liability is huge to me. I've noticed this in so many different other cultures as well, not just Asian culture, but definitely in Mexican culture too. I see how much the woman is the glue towards Latina, Hispanic families that are always needing the mother figure, that are always needing their mother or grandmother or great grandmother or aunt, you know? So with Black men, especially Black boys, Gen Z Black boys, we have lost the item of importance for being able to pour and build into those Black men. Because now these men are growing into 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds, 26-year-olds, and they're lost. And they're thinking that the quote unquote motion or the quote unquote YN life or the quote unquote fast life is going to fill their soul. When in reality, that's not going to do anything for them except lead them down the same systemic system that the United States is already trying to put them in anyways. So it's kind of a working system for the United States of America, but it's not working for us Black women that need Black men, that because Black men are supposed to protect the Black women, you know? It leads us to a cycle where everything is working for the United States to crush the identity of Black men. My personal reasons for stepping back from dating Black men is not out of bitterness, but truly out of self-preservation. I'm trying to survive. I'm trying to not feel like I'm in pain when I'm dating somebody else is Black. And I think what can create a path towards healing and accountability and real love is to be able to create the conversation of how much pain Black men can perpetrate towards Black women on a conscious or subconscious basis. I hope this episode made you really take a look within, especially to my Black men, because I'm not just venting here. I'm speaking about factual, real life situations. I also feel like if you finally feel seen or heard, I'm very glad that this has been the first experience where you can hear your real life experience become somebody else's experience as well. To every Black woman that's listening, you're not alone. You're not too much. You're not too loud. You're not too freaking angry. You are yourself. And I'm so sorry that the pain that came from wherever it did scorned you to the point where you don't feel like you believe in love anymore. And I'm so sorry for that. To every Black man that's listening, if you're willing to unlearn, if you're willing to listen, and if you're willing to do the actual work, we need our Black men. Not just because of a stigma, not just because we need babies, not just because we need somebody to just hold our arm around, but because Black men are just important just to be, just to exist. I get so excited seeing Black boy joy on my timeline whenever I'm scrolling through TikTok. But then also we need to talk about the importance of Black boy health and Black boy mental health. And this is low-key a sidebar, but I do kind of need to talk about the red pill ideology because the red pill ideology teaches men to reject empathy, which what Black women always offer, to reject connection, and also emotional growth. So it's teaching our Black men to favor dominance over actual connection with people. And then that creates self-isolation. And how it always preys on Black men has been checking the insecurity of what I talked about earlier that stems from Black youthhood and being able to not know who you are and question what your life means. I think this culture is so dangerous for Black men because we already face systemic dehumanization and racism and problems as, again, Black men. But whenever you turn that pain kind of like inward and you kind of use that knife and you stab it inward into yourself, you're creating an inner pain that doesn't just go towards yourself, but goes towards your future. It goes towards other people around you. But then again, lastly, what my biggest focus is on Black women. Because if you're not around a Black girl that's outside of your family, you're next to your mother. You're next to your grandmother. You're next to your sister. You're next to your aunt. So that messes with your livelihood. Excuse me. I think how you can interrupt the cycle, Black men, is being able to have more male mentors in your life, more Black mentors that are healthy for you, that don't create the same ideology for you, technically as a way out if you're willing. To be able to have the representation of being able to be kind and soft and sweet and delicate, because I promise you, there have been times where I have been properly loved by a Black man, and it has been so unexplainable because it's deep and it's so important. And then lastly, again, being able to know what leadership really means to you. Because Black men, I've always been seen to notice, is they lead and they pay attention to the signs and the cues before anybody else in the room does. But again, my Black men, please take this one day and one step at a time. You are not the problem. It is not your fault. And I hope and heal, or I hope that you heal whatever you are going through. This episode is not meant to divide anyone. It's not meant to hurt anyone. And it's not meant to create mass hysteria. It's made to create the conversation of the truth. If this sat with you in any way, please send it to a friend or talk about it or clip it or help anybody that's going through this issue, because it happens on a daily. And keep building your blueprint of your life and your behaviors, and realize that you're not perfect and you can change every day. Be able to stay grounded and be able to stay bold and true to you. And if you like any of my episodes, don't forget to follow, leave a review, and then also connect with me on socials. That'll be down below. I want to keep building this as much as possible with the people that actually care about being able to change. And until next time, stay soft, stay grounded, and be able to build your own blueprint of your life. My name is Solana, and I'll talk to you soon. Love you. Bye.